Okay guys, so today I'm gonna show you how I do the weathering. So this is with chipping and primer, and in the end with all the pigments and stuff, it will look like this. So it's very easy method, very cheap. As you can see, the light is not the best, but you could see the photos that I've posted in the group, so it's gonna be easy. Okay, so to start, I'm using something like this one, MIG chipping, but you can use anything that looks like metal, so it's quite easy. With a little bit of sponge, you just dip a little bit, just dip it, and then with the kitchen towel or something, paper towel, just to take the excess. Grab yourself your wheel and just slightly, whatever you want, just chip it a little bit. Nothing fancy, just a little bit. You don't have to do like this, but this is the way that I do. So just a little bit, okay? So this one is done. This one was done yesterday, so you can see what kind of effect you're trying to get. Nothing too much. Okay, after you add it, you just wet a little bit just to dry. So I have this one, for example, here, that already dry out. So what we're gonna do is grab a little bit of this white spirit. That's what I use, of course. White brush. Same tissue. Just dip a little bit, take the excess, and then grab your wheel and just around it. It doesn't have to be too much, just a bit, just to cover all the spaces that you need. That should be fine. Okay, second thing we're going to use is, I'm using this Trade King. I think it's good. It's a bit light, but it will do, because you don't have to have a lot of stuff in your wheel. So with the thin brush like this, I just dip it a little bit. Don't worry about the excess, and just wherever you want. Usually these spaces are where you get oils and stuff, and then bolts, stuff like that. Just tiny bit, nothing too much. A little bit here, there, here. You can even do a little play with it, just to like this. It looks messy, but after it's gonna look really good around the edges. Okay, this one is done. Now we're gonna need, close this one. I use also pen liner. This is quite dark. Like I said, you don't have to use both. You can use only one, because we are trying to make it cheap. The more stuff you put, sometimes it's not the best to get a good effect. Yeah, so one, usually one it's enough, but in this case I'm going to use both of them. This one is quite dark, and you will need maybe to use a little bit of white spirit before you pin, because it's quite thick. So bit here and those. Like this. Over here in this edge, just a little bit. If you think it is a bit too much, just scrub. A dry brush. This is dry, nothing on it, and just go around it, and it will clean a little bit, as you can see. It's quite good. Okay, so this one is done. You don't have to wait for it to settle down or something like that. You just grab yourself. You can do the stages like one after the other. Okay. So what we're going to need now, we're going to need a bit of aluminum foil. The reason why I'm going to use this, maybe it's not too difficult to understand, but anyway I'm going to say, because when you use the pigment, as it falls, you can put it back on your container, and foil is better than a piece of paper or stuff, because it won't grab the tissue, it will just slide off. So for the pigment I'm using, wait, that's not, for the pigments, for the pigment I'm using this Dark Earth modeling pigment. It's not too dark. You can't see well, but anyway I'm gonna try to, with a dry brush, a bit wider than the previous one, just grab a little bit like this and just sprinkle around it. And then grab your wheel, a little bit more, and just tap it around the edges. It's usually is where you get most dirt, in the middle also. It looks messy. It's gonna be alright. After you clean it, it's gonna be alright. Okay. I think this is enough. It's enough. I don't like to use too much because, oh bloody. Usually I didn't use too much, but okay, it's good. Just tap it to take the excess out. And that's enough for one wheel. Now with the foil, there you go. Everything went inside. Now, what we're gonna do is I use pigment fixer. Some people told me that you don't have to use this because the thinner will act like a glue with the pigment, but anyway, since I had it, I'm gonna use it. So another thin brush, just dip it, don't clean the excess, just leave it, and then slightly touch it. It will spray it around, and it will make your pigment stick. At least is what it is supposed to do. It's like it's going around looking for the pigment. Okay. As you can see, it's a big mess. Big mess. Don't clean it. Leave it. If you clean it, you're gonna ruin. So just leave it. Usually, I leave this to settle like around 2 hours, 1 hour, 1 hour and a half, because it's not too much. If it was a bit more heavier, probably I will leave longer. After it dries, you will see when it dries, you're gonna get all the shine thing. This is all gonna go, so it's gonna look like dried. Yeah, so after you dry, I have one that is already dried here, as you can see. What you do is grab yourself one of these makeup. I use them because they are very soft. They don't scratch anything, and it's quite nice. So what you do, you just grab one and do like this. I advise you to do this in an open space, because all the dust from the pigment will get to you and you're gonna breathe this, and it's not too good. So just give it a quick clean, and in the end you're gonna get something like this. It doesn't seem much because of the light, but it's quite good. At least what I think. To me it looks quite good. Okay guys, take care, stay safe.